Recently, I was thinking, what happened to the film / movie, depending on where you're watching this, to book novelisation? Not book to film. We've seen many of those recently. The Odysseys at the cinema, Brand New Day, kind of. Spider-Man Brand New Day, kind of. Based on, like a story or two. That's at the cinema. Dune is coming later this year. Well, Dune Part 3 is coming later this year. All, well, mostly, books that have been turned into films. And, I mean, this isn't the first time. It's been going on for a long time. But what is less common is film to book novelisations. This is Grease. Grease, as you may know, is a film set in the late 1950s, starring John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John as high school students. Neither of them were in high school. They sing and dance their way through all of the type of things you would expect from a film set in the late 1950s, and all of the trials and tribulations of being a teenager, even if you're not. This is the novelisation that was released after the film. It's written by Don De Christoforou and based on a screenplay by Bronte Woodard. It uses elements of the songs in text. It doesn't go literal. It doesn't, it's not like we go together like wom de bom de bom 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 de bom or whatever the lyrics are. That's they don't say things like that. It's not that literal, but it is still a novelisation of the film. And these used to be a thing, and they used to be a thing until some point in the past, because I can't actually tell you. Typically, if I'm doing a video on the history of something, and I've done many of those previously, I like to include some facts amongst all of the waffle, and it's usually because I've done a bit of research online, because the subject has intrigued me that much that I've thought to myself, I want to know more about this. With this, the best I can give you is they've fallen out of fashion. Now, they were a thing, and they were a thing in the 2010s as well, because you had things like, and not that it was a movie, although I think it was seen at some, I think it was screened at some cinemas, Doctor Who Day of the Doctor. They adapted that. I mean, it's based on the November 2013 story. Stephen Moffat, who wrote the script. BBC have released a number of these over the years, adapting individual episodes into like novels. They even went back and adapted some of the older stuff now. There's things like the Pirate Planet, which is a novelisation. It's a story by Douglas Adams, novelised by James Goss, and it's something that happened in the past as well. Target released a number of Doctor Who novels that were adapted TV stories, and in some cases the actual writer of the TV story did the novel, so they were able to expand on what you saw on TV, which was a nice feature. Obviously Star Wars did it as well. This is the 25th anniversary edition of the original Star Wars trilogy, adapted as novels by a bunch of people. George Lucas, Don Glynn and James Caan, not the actor. So, and I mean, this 25th anniversary, so it's a reprint of the originals. I don't have the originals, I wouldn't mind them, but there you go. There are other things as well. Again, 2010's film, Woman in Black, Angel of Death. Not a great novelisation, but a novelisation all the same, based on a story by Susan Hill, who wrote the original book, Woman in Black, that was adapted into a Hammer horror film starring Daniel Radcliffe. It was a decent horror film. Back in the day, you had things like, the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves novelisation, the Halloween 3 novelisation. There was a novelisation of all of the, I think, the first 6, maybe up to Freddy's Nightmare of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and there were books that span out of that as well, original fiction in this case. Things like the Star Trek, Star Trek novelisation of Insurrection here. They did the other films as well. You have the last 2 episodes of Next Generation was novelised. Now you don't seem to get that. From time to time I'll see tie-ins, like that, where's it gone, like this, not that this is recent, but like this Nightmare on Elm Street one, or these Smallville ones. Doctor Who gets original stories written. Not that I'm going to talk about Doctor Who much longer. But, there have been other things as well, like Poltergeist, The Uninvited, which was a British TV series, The Wicker Man, Gothic, and The Thing, all novelisations of films. And we don't seem to get them anymore. Now, it could be that there's less of a focus on original films by the big studios, so they are just adapting stuff that's already been written, which makes perfect sense. I can see why you would do that. You would take something like Frida McFadden's The Housemaid and turn it into a film because the book has sold bumper numbers, so why go to the trouble of finding something that isn't already a thing and putting it on screen? Not that that's always the case. There are a number of films that have not been based on a book still in the cinema today. But I suppose also the other side of it could be that these studios, the production companies just don't see a market for it anymore. Not that people wouldn't read them, it's just that what do you adapt? Because while something like Dune or The Odyssey or Spider-Man Brand New Day or The Housemaid, which I must admit I haven't seen, are likely to make a lot of money at the cinema, and you can pretty much guarantee that there'll be a spike in book sales based on people going, oh, it's based on a book, I'll go buy it. When it's the other way around, what do you do? I mean, now, I could see the point in novelising, I don't know, the next big Star Wars film, which I think is the Ryan Gosling one. Is it Starfighter? Something like that. I could see the point of novelising that because you've already got an audience. You've got the Star Wars audience who would likely buy it because it's Star Wars, particularly if they enjoy reading Star Wars books. In fact, I think some of the recent Star Wars films were adapted into novels. I'm actually not sure. I could have checked. I won't. You know what I'm like. But in modern times, I can't see any studio executive thinking, do you know what we need? A novelisation of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which, was a film that happened. So I guess that there is that on it. Why risk a failure at the box office? Why put more money into what would be a failure at the box office by turning it into a novel? They could do the thing where they say, oh my god, Halloween 3 did bumper numbers at the box office, it's been the biggest film of the year, let's get it out for a novel. But by the time the writer's written that novel, the film's forgotten. They're on to something else. Unless they write it really, really quickly. Quick look at the reviews of Angel of Death, and it turns out this isn't a very good novelisation, which is a shame. The film wasn't great, it was well acted, but it wasn't, in reality, Woman in Black is a difficult thing to follow up unless you happen to be Susan Hill. So yeah, it's one of those things where I think to myself, and there is still a market for books. You go into any bookshop and you see a lot of people there. How many people are buying is a different matter. But you look at things like, if you go into your local Waterstones or ideally an independent bookshop, you'll see the type of thing people buy because they should be pushed. It should be the type of thing where it's showcased. A local bookshop that I go to has a thing of if you liked this, then you may like this, as a way of introducing people to other books that they potentially could read. It's a shame that these novelisations don't continue. An age ago, I remember, and this was the other way around, and there was a TV series on Netflix that was filmed in Hull, where I live, and it's based on a graphic novel, and I'd said, I wouldn't mind reading. I hadn't seen the series, but I said, I wouldn't mind reading the graphic novel, and their response was, why? Oh, because I want to, but you won't see all of the people and the places. I can still watch the TV series. Reading something doesn't prohibit me from watching it. It's not like they're going to take it off Netflix just because I've read it. Same with Lord of the Rings. I'd read Lord of the Rings long before the films. It didn't affect my enjoyment of them. because I'm able to do more than one thing. And it's the same with this. I mean, there's a possibility that, yeah, there's a number of films where I thought, oh, you know, like, I wouldn't mind seeing that again. And I've no doubt that for these original films, I may think to myself, if I saw the book at a reasonable price, I'd think to myself, yeah, I'll pick that up. I enjoyed the film. Can't do that with a lot of films these days, it seems, because the option isn't there, and he's not going to come back. Let's face it. You know, like, there isn't a world in which these producers are going to be like, we should bring back film to book novelisations, because if there isn't a market for it, which appears to be the case, there's no real need to. We do still get books of films. We get, you know, like The Art of, or, you know, like they'll do a screenplay book, or a making of, that type of thing. They still have a market, and no doubt part of that is down to the sheer the interest of film lovers in more than just the film. Ages ago I was asked why I know so much about certain films, and the truth is it's because I'm interested in the film. You know, I've watched the extras on the DVD or the Blu-ray or the 4K. I've gone out of my way to read interviews or listen to podcasts. You know, Empire occasionally do you know, like spoiler specials, which basically are more, it's not them just saying what happens in the film. They'll interview the cast, the crew, the director, whoever it happens to be, and it'll be a deep dive into the film. It won't be things like, why did you take this film? It'll be things specific to the film. I watch a lot of stuff like that on YouTube as well, where it's deep dives into films. Give me, not that I've seen them on YouTube recently, but give me a Mark Kermode documentary or a Kim Newman documentary or an article or whatever it is that they've written talking about the film, and I'll listen to it. Even if it's a film I haven't seen, I'll listen to it because I'm interested in the insight that they provide. And for me, it is a shame that these novelisations don't happen anymore, because, like I said, there are some films that I would have liked to have seen. I would like to have seen, you know. Do you know what? There is a Quentin Tarantino one. I'm sure Quentin Tarantino's. I'm sure there was a recent Quentin. Not that he does films often. I'm sure there was a recent Quentin Tarantino film that I have as a novelisation. I must dig that out at some point. So there was still a market for them. Still, I imagine there's still people interested in that type of thing. It's just that we don't see them anymore, or at least I don't see them in shops. And I can't imagine it being the type of thing where it's digital only. Could be. There was a time at which some films got comic book adaptations as well, typically superhero films. Haven't seen one of those in a while either. Ah. But no, that's it really. Very, very short video, this one. The answer is I don't know what happened to them. If you've stuck around for nearly 13 minutes to hear that conclusion, well done. Like, share and subscribe. I'll catch you again next time. Next time I may have new glasses. If I don't, let's forget this part. I'll speak to you all again. Bye for now.